It's good day to brew, baby. What is beauty, Mr. Boy Millsy? With whole Midtown Commander. Back for another episode of Millsy Brews, the show where I brew my version 1.0 deck list of the Commander in front of us on my quest to brew the Magic World. And as always, the deck list is going to be down in the description below. I'm finishing up the last of the Fallout commanders that I wanted to talk about, because I think just like a Nimpakal in Lost Caverns of Ixalan, I think this is one of those fun Boros commanders that just caught me off guard, and I think it's really fun. And if you've been looking for maybe an Aura deck that's a little bit different than what we've seen before, I think 3-Dog could be a fun idea for you. Today we're talking about a 3-Dog Galaxy News DJ, a 3-mana 1/5 human bard that says whenever you attack, you may pay 2 and sacrifice an aura attached to 3-Dog Galaxy News DJ. When you sacrifice an aura this way, each other attacking creature you control, for each other attacking creature you control, you create a token that's a copy of that aura attached to that creature. This is a really funky ability, and I think this ability could be a ton of fun when you think about at base just the small amount of things you can copy. You know, the aura players out there will obviously think of things like ethereal armor and all that glitters as immediate, full board white, buffs at that point. But there's a ton of fun other auras, especially ones draw you cards when they enter, and that seems like it's important because those copies come in and enter. But we're going to talk about some great auras to copy, and I think there's a lot of them. I'm going to talk about 9, but I think there's more than 9 in the deck. We're going to talk about how we're going to make lots of creatures to copy onto. Because it's each other attacking creature, there's some fun Boros ways we can really take advantage of that. Ways to just buff the entire team. And then the thing I hadn't thought about until the end of the deck building process was that if we attach one of those token copies of the auras we made back to 3-Dog with any ability, we can sacrifice it again and get the whole board to do it again. And I think that's important for some auras, and we'll talk about that as well. But getting into the auras, I think are going to be really good to copy. We talked about all the glitters. I mean, +1/+1 for each artifact or enchantment you control, going to start buffing the board and making our creatures really tough to deal with. You have things like Bravado, enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each other creature you control, making them, again, massive as well. Chains of Custody is a kind of interesting one that I hadn't thought about until I was looking through auras that got released recently, because I was like, there's got to be some value out there that I'm missing. It says, enchant creature you control. When it ETBs, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls until Chains of Custody leaves the battlefield. Yes, this is probably going to be a mess at an actual commander table to deal with, because you have each creature exiling a different thing. But it gives the creature word 2, and you're going to potentially wipe the board. For a big attack, you could get rid of your opponent's important pieces. Chains of Custody, I think, is well worth trying, even if there's probably a headache on the back end for keeping track of it. The sound of drums look kind of fun to me. Enchanted creature is goaded. We'll be goading our own creature, but it says if it would deal combat damage to a permanent or player, just double that damage instead. I think that's well worth it. To basically get our creatures to deal double that damage, and if our board state's going wide enough, I mean, what's our opponent's going to do about that? And for 3 mana, after we sacrifice it, we get to put it back into our hand and do it again. They would stack, so it would be pretty great to get multiples of these out if we could, but at any rate, that seems pretty fun. And I don't think we don't mind the goat at that point, since we're trying to attack anyway. Spirit Mantle, +1/+1 and protection from creatures, basically going to give it unblockable and allow that creature to get in for free. And remember, all of this is going to be done before blockers, so it's going to be a great one to do that way. Sage's Reverie could cause a slight headache, so I'm just going to warn you. It says when ETBs, draw a card for each aura you control is attached to a creature. That could be a lot of cards, depending on what the board state is when you copy Sage's Reverie, but +1/+1 for each aura you control. This could be an Alpha Strike one, but I think what I would do is, if you care about a 3-Dog being a threat at all in combat, this is one I would put on him and keep on him to always be a threat, because as you sacrifice these and spread them across the squad, 3-Dogs are becoming bigger as well. Or if you want to put it on some of the other creatures we have that are threats as well, you now are just making a threat that your opponent has to deal with. Angelic Gift, giving the creature flying, but also drawing a card when it comes in, so it can act as some card draw. Same thing with something like Rune of Sustenance. When it comes in, we draw a card and lifelink, and that's pretty cool because when you make the copies, you're going to draw off all the copies, and again, lifelink's not a bad ability. And then Unquenchable Fury, whenever this creature attacks, it deals X damage to defending player or X's number of cards in their hand. Now, unfortunately, the way that Fury is going to work trigger-wise, when we attack with, and then we pay 2 to spread Fury out. The creature will already have technically declared its attack, so it won't get that damage this turn, but when it's put into the graveyard to the battlefield, we get it right back into our hand and can keep the cycle going. And I think it's just going to be, hey, the next turn it's going to be even worse for our opponents, and we get to just keep going and going and going on that process of adding more and more damage to our creatures. Again, that's just 9 of the plenty of auras that I think are great in this deck, and the heavy hitters are there, the things like... I talked about all the glitters, the other things you'd expect to see, ethereal armor, that's there. I just kind of wanted to bring up these fun corner cases thing where you can give all your creatures that ability. But how are we going to make a wide board state to enchant? Well, some of the Legion seems like a great thing to use for it, getting a 1/1 every turn, more and more each turn. Again, those all come in with haste, so they can all attack. Archons of Sun's Grace and Ajani's Chosen are actually going to both put tokens on the battlefield every time we have an enchantment come in, which means that we're going to always be getting more and more creatures, which can also just get us wider and wider, but at the end of the day are going to become threats the more of these auras that we can sacrifice and put onto all of our creatures. The 2 I immediately thought of were Adeline and an Impicall. Adeline's probably better to start, giving a 1/1 every time you attack, and an Impicall is going to get better and better as the game goes on. But these are making creatures that are tapped and attacking. You resolve these triggers before 3 dogs trigger, and they're going to be allowed to be, enchanted with those auras copies that come in. And again, now you're just getting a bigger and bigger board state for your opponents. But one I hadn't thought about, just because I've never played against it or used it, and that's Valduk, Keeper of the Flame. Being in combat on our turn, for each aura and equipment attached to Valduk, create a 3/1 elemental with trample and haste, exile those tokens at the beginning of the next end step. Well, if we can get a bunch of them on Valduk, he's going to make them as well. And then those 3/1s can be equipped by, these token auras. So I think Valduk could be really good as well, whether it's the main one that we're equipping or it's just taking these copies. I think it's a good creature, and it's going to help give us value down the line. As far as buffing the teams go, I really like Archon of the Wild Rose here. Creatures you control that are enchanted by auras have base power type as 4/4 and have flying, meaning all these 1/1s that we're putting in with all these abilities are now 4/4s in the air, which could probably go pretty far at ending a game on its own. Of course, we're in Boros, so we want to use something like Erois. Menace and prevent all damage to attacking creatures seems pretty darn good in a deck that's trying to go wide. And then we can actually really take advantage of Boon of the Spirit Realm here. Whenever it or another enchantment comes in, you put a counter on it, meaning all those copy auras are going to put counters on this, and all your creatures get +1/+1 for each counter. This is going to get out of hand fast. And I think this kind of was like a Cathar's Crusade in this deck, where it's just going to get out of hand really fast, and it's going to be hard for your opponents to now deal with these 1/1s that are coming in as 10/10s or 11/11s and then getting equipped or enchanted. The other thing here is that we may at a certain point not even need to use 3 Dog's ability and just have 1/1s coming in as 12/12s that our opponents have to deal with. But we also have a couple creatures that give enchanted creatures double strike, which is a really important thing if we can pair it with trample or flying to really get damage into our opponent. Halvar kind of plays the ability of also being able to move an aura at the start of our combat, so we could potentially reload something onto 3 Dog to sacrifice, or get something into the right time on a creature we really want. I have realized since I put the deck together that 3 Dog doesn't have to. I don't believe 3 Dog has to have. Oh, it is attached to him. Okay, that's on me. For a second, I thought it didn't have to be on him. It does have to be on him. So that's why we really need that Halvar ability. And we'll talk about a few more that are really helpful for that. I mean, Arden does the exact same thing, but it can move any number of them around, which can be really darn helpful. Codsworth can do that here at Sorcery Speed, and then Inventory Management is a very good card that can do this ability at instant speed, split second. Can be really gross. You wait to see what your opponents block with and move everything around and hit our opponents hard. This card is probably going to end the game on the right board. But of course, we always talk about how in testing, we're going to find that maybe some cards deserve a chance, or maybe they fit better in the deck, right? Anytime you put together your first version of a list, you're always going to miss things. And these are 3 cards that I thought probably were pretty good and deserved a thought. as we were to test this deck. Core Spirit Dancer, whenever we cast an aura, we draw a card, and +2/+2 for each aura attached to it. Could be pretty fun as another thing to kind of give us value and be a threat. Galvanic Arc looks pretty cool when it comes into play. It deals 3 damage to target creature or player, and equip creature, enchanted creature has first strike. Seems really good. To be something we can copy over and over and over again. It just got cut because there was so many other really good ones I wanted to try. And then Cathar's Call, beginning of the year end step, create a 1/1 human. Again, just widening the board out, getting more and more to deal with. But let's get into our playtest. Keeping a 4-lander, which I was pretty surprised at. Commander Sphere and Cass Hogan, who says whenever it or another creature you control dies, if it was enchanted, return a number of auras that were attached to it from your graveyard to the battlefield. Then attach any number of equipment that were attached to it to that creature. The only, of course, downside to Chaos would be any of the token ones that we go to the graveyard aren't going to be there. But I still think it's worth it. I think we put the Temple of Triumph down here. I mean, we have no play on turn 1 anyway. We see a mountain. I wonder if we even really need it at this point. I think we got plenty of mana, and I think we want to start drawing into our gas here. Turn 2, we get a Plains, of course. Get the Rugged Prairie down and just pass it up. Nothing to do for now. I think 3 dogs probably our play here on turn 3. We'll get the Fury Column down, showing that Plains in our hand, and get 3 dog down. Get it started so that we next turn would start getting some things down on the board attached to him. Here with 4 mana, I kind of like the idea of Commander Sphere and then maybe getting like Spirit Mantle attached to it, or we could get like Angelic Gift attached to it. Angelic Gift probably wouldn't be bad, putting it in the air, getting us to draw a card here, access to more things, and gives us something to start sacrificing towards other things. Jeez, another land. Sometimes the Moxfield Shuffler can be an interesting thing. 6 mana, I kind of like getting cast down here, and then maybe we put the Mantle on 3 dog and just start attacking somebody. I kind of like the idea of sacking the Sphere here to draw a card, to try to get into something that can help us here, since we're drawing all these lands and potentially getting further damage. We draw Aki Battle Squad, and whenever one or more modified creatures that we control attack, untap all of them. After this phase of additional combat, it only happens once per turn. Hey, extra combats are always great. And this turn, this could be an interesting play. And we only have 6 mana, so it would be just the Aki, but 3 dog is in the air right now with protection. We could either get Aki down. I think I'd get Aki down here and then take another shot with 3 dog. Now, we can't, of course, use his ability this turn, but the Angelic Gift would be something I'd like to start spreading around, and maybe we would do that this turn. So this turn, provided everything survives, nothing has changed, I would get the Ethereal Armor on 3 dog. That's 1 mana. I would use, I guess, might as well use 2 of it for Rayav. And then into combat, sacrifice Angelic Gift to put it on our whole squad, other than 3 dog. 3 dog is still unblockable because of the Spirit Mantle. We're drawing 3 off all the Angelic Gifts that come in. Now the rest of our board is flying. We take a hit with these guys. Aki Battle Squad goes off, untapping them all. And let's see, 1, 2, 3... 4, 5. We would have 2 more mana to spread the Mantle around if we wanted to, and protect them even more. But again, with them being in the air, I doubt it's going to matter. I think they're still going to probably get in for some good damage, and them having double strike because of Rayav is going to be pretty detrimental. And then this turn, I would probably just dump another land in, Sound of Drums on 3 dog, play the Adeline. So now we're up to 3, 4, 5, 6. We got exactly enough mana. Take a swing with the whole board. Obviously, Adeline can attack, but it makes 3 more 1/1s. And then I kind of maybe think about doing the drums since they're already all in the air. Sack the drums. It goes on all of them. This goes to the graveyard. All right, this is now attached to all of them. All of them are dealing double damage. 3 dog's still unblockable and is now massive due to the amount of copies of auras we have. Again, extra combat. I think this is a situation where either the whole board's dead or they are close to it. But let me know, what do you think of the idea of 3 dog down in the comment section below. I was really impressed by this one. I thought it was really interesting. I liked the idea of it, and it would be probably, other than the Caesar deck that I'm working on, the deck that I'd probably try and see if it was something I'd be interested in. But I'd love to hear what you think down in the comment section below, and I will catch you guys next time.